Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
President Bongbong Marcos is now in Malaysia to attend the 46th ASEAN Summit.
The Atenito Coalition is now on their way to the West Philippine Sea for their third civilian mission.
The LTFRB warns PUV drivers and operators against discriminating plus-sized passengers.
Cignal unveils Cignal Super, the country's first streaming aggregator app aiming to simplify how Filipinos watch shows, movies, and live content.
The Atenito Coalition's third civilian mission to the West Philippine Sea officially started on Sunday as volunteers departed from Manila for El Nido, Palawan. Here's the report.
The MV Capitan Felix Oca, the main vessel of the Atenito civilian mission, departed from Manila for El Nido, Palawan on Sunday. Now on its third civilian mission, the Atenito Coalition will stage a historic sea concert near Pag-asa Island.
If everything is prepared, hindi mo na pwedeng i-atras. This is a concert for peace and solidarity. And mag-usap tayo ng maayos. We will keep asserting our rights. We'll find some way to live together. Pero wag naman kayo maging bully.
Alongside Filipino artists, the concert will also feature international performers from Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, and Korea. The organizers have assured that contingency measures are in place, with the Philippine Coast Guard on standby in case of any potential tensions at sea. This initiative follows a May 21 incident in which a Chinese Coast Guard vessel used water cannons against a Philippine vessel. This happened while BFAR was conducting a maritime scientific research mission. The China Coast Guard insisted the Philippines should stop its so-called illegal activities, adding they will not cease patrols to guard their sovereignty. BFAR responded, saying that the actions of the Chinese vessel were unprovoked and in violation of international law.
Kitang-kita natin kung sino ang responsable rito, sino ang nagsasagawa ng hindi sibilisadong aksyon ayon sa panuntunan ng international law. Sila yung walang karapatan na magsagawa ng mga gawain nila at lalo pa na gumawa ng aksyon na maaring makapagdulot ng banta sa buhay ng mga tauhan natin.
An assessment is ongoing to determine the full extent of the ship's damage.
Let's talk more about these developments with Rear Admiral Roy Trinidad, Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea. Good morning. Thanks for joining us again. Admiral? Good morning po. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, good morning.
Yun. Ayan. Thanks for joining us again.
Good morning.
Opo. Alright, hingi lang po kami ng update. Pwede nyo po bang ibahagi ulit sa amin, sa ating audience po, sa ating manonood, yung mas detalyadong impormasyon tungkol nga po dito sa latest water cannoning incident po?
Okay, alam nyo, Angelo and Angela, no? The water cannon incident on the 21st of May was preceded one day before by the MCA. Meron tayong maritime couple activity with the US Coast Guard. US Navy aircraft. Ang trend natin dito sa West Philippine Sea, each time meron tayong MCA, tahimik ang PLA, Navy, Coast Guard, and the Maritime Militia. But after the MCA, merong coercive and aggressive action. Just to show the world na naandyan pa rin sila. Etong nangyayari sa BFAR is another classic example. But in spite of all of these aggressive actions being conducted on us, yung Navy, yung Coast Guard, yung BFAR, all other government agencies in the maritime domain will keep performing our mandate. We will not be deterred by this, bagkus magpapatuloy tayo. Sapagkat ang gusto nilang ipakita, number one, na andyan pa rin sila. Number two, they would like to intimidate us into inaction. Na huwag na tayo lumabas sa karagatan. Hindi naman tayo papayag ng ganon. Hindi po pwede mangyari yung gusto nila.
Yes, Admiral, may nasaktan ba? At saka ano pong klaseng damage ang nangyari sa barko ng BFAR?
Wala namang report na may nasaktan. Yung damage, according to the BFAR, may minimal damage naman. Hindi natamaan yung mga sensors nila. Sapagkat ang water cannon, ginagawa ito ng Chinese Coast Guard.
Yes, prior to this incident, Admiral, choppy po kayo, Rear Admiral.
Yes.
Yan,
Yeah.
okay. Prior, go ahead.
Wala tayong report na injured o napinsala, ano? Ito mga water cannon incident, these are designed to knock out our communications and sensors, mga radars ng mga barko natin. Minimal damage naman ang na-report
Alright.
sa atin.
Okay. So, what was the mission of BFAR vessel po at that time of the encounter? Was it a rotational mission or humanitarian mission? Can you tell us more about it po?
According to the BFAR, this was a research mission to Pag-asa K number 2 or Sandy K kung tawagin natin. They were there to get some samples and to check kung ito nga ba ay may presence of the Chinese or meron silang ginagawang any activity na nasisira ang environment. So kukuha ng mga samples of the sand probably or the water dun sa Sandy K number 2.
Okay. So, nangyari po yung insidente bago po sila makapunta doon sa kanilang mission o after na po?
At the same time, sapagkat
At the same
nagbaba ng dalawang rubber boat
Okay.
ang BFAR vessel.
Okay.
Ang rubber boat nakatuloy naman, Angela, sa Sandy K. But yung mothership niya ang tinamaan.
Bago po ba nagkaroon ng mga water cannoning incident at that time, meron po bang mga kumbaga, radio challenge mula sa hanay po ng CCG? O diretso na lang po bigla silang nag-water cannon sa BFAR vessel?
Yes, Angela, I would have to defer to the BFAR for the details of what transpired just before the water cannon incident.
Yes, Admiral, prior to this incident po, how many other times in the recent last few months nagkaroon po ng water cannon incident between the Chinese Coast Guard at sa mga hanay po natin? And do you see an escalation po in the number of incidents sa West Philippine Sea?
Yung exact activity, I would say, hindi lamang sa water cannon, ano, pati yung sa mga dangerous maneuvers, may nangyari diyan sa Baho de Masinloc. And this was done maybe, I think, last month or 2 months ago. Overall, hindi naman siya sin-aggressive, not as aggressive as in the past year or in 2023, conducted sa Ayungin Shoal, na kung saan talagang malakas at may mga na-injured na mga kasamahan natin. This was conducted against Unay sa May 1 and 2, I believe, sa RORE mission natin to Pag-asa, to Ayungin Shoal.
Okay. So pag may mga ganito po ba mga insidente, ano po yung initial na ginagawa po dapat ng Philippine Navy?
Ang ginagawa, Angela, ng Navy, Coast Guard, and BFAR, each time merong aggressive action, is to document everything and to provide all the details, the information to the appropriate agency of government for the appropriate action. In this case, DFA for the filing of the appropriate protest.
Okay. Pero yung mga na-document po ninyo, formally, naihain nyo na po, naipasa nyo na po sa concerned agency like DFA as you've mentioned?
Yes, very good naman yung coordination natin, interagency, with DFA and the other government agencies na kasama sa maritime domain. We have already very good mechanisms with them.
Are we going to be increasing yung ating presensya po dyan sa area na yan following this incident? Both of you sa Coast Guard and of course yung Philippine Navy?
Yes, Angela, yung Westcom and NOLCOM, they are responsible for the details of our patrol missions in the West Philippine Sea and in the Northern Islands. Ang ating Navy, Coast Guard, and BFAR naman, we provide them the ships and nasa kanila the where and the when, yung details of the deployment. But rest assured, hindi po huhupa ang presensya ng ating gobyerno sa ating karagatan.
Kasi may mga agam-agam rin po, pati most especially yung ating mga mangingisda. And I believe kasi ito po yata yung first time, if I'm not mistaken, na water cannon ang BFAR vessel natin. So, mensahe nyo po sa ating mga kababayan na may mga agam-agam po sa pagpunta sa area na yan. Especially, I don't think this is going to be the last time na magkakaroon po ng mga maritime mission ang BFAR vessel dyan.
It will not be the last time, for sure. Hindi huhupa. We will not be deterred. We will keep performing our mission, mapa Navy, Coast Guard man, o BFAR. But at the same time, we also don't expect any let-up in the aggressive actions of the Chinese Communist Party. Amid all of this, Angela and Angelo, your Philippine Navy, your Philippine Coast Guard, if I could speak for them, and BFAR, will keep pressing sapagkat ang guidance ng ating Commander-in-Chief, hindi natin hahayaan that we will leave nothing behind. We will let no one trample upon our sovereignty, not 1 square inch of Philippine territory will we give up, Angela.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras and we'll keep in touch po regarding this incident. Maraming salamat po sa inyo, Rear Admiral Roy Trinidad, ang Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea. Maraming salamat po.
You're welcome, Angela and Angelo. Thank you too.
Alright, yun kasi nga, actually yung mga alliances natin like the US, Canada,
France,
they've also condemned yung nangyari na to. And yun nga, importante kasi officially nare-report natin itong insidente na to. Dahil nga, para nakikita, di ba, yung
Just
mga nangyayari.
To put it on record lang, a diplomatic protest that we condemn the action because if we don't do that pala, parang the other country, kunyari nagkaroon ng deliberations abroad, sabihin nila, hindi naman nila kinuntest eh. That means they're accepting the fact na yung ginawa namin tama. So it's important whether nagkakaroon ng ngipin or actual protest or not, we put it on record.
All right. In other news, President Bongbong Marcos has arrived in Malaysia to attend the 46th ASEAN Summit, where he is expected to advocate for stronger regional cooperation on food and energy security, disaster resilience, the responsible use of AI, and the peaceful resolution of maritime disputes. Here's a report.
President Bongbong Marcos is now in Malaysia for the 46th ASEAN Summit. He is accompanied by First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos. In his departure speech, President Marcos emphasized the Philippines' commitment to upholding its sovereignty and sovereign rights, particularly in the West Philippine Sea, in accordance with international law.
I will continue to champion our advocacies in promoting an open, an inclusive, and rules-based international order.
He also pledged to advocate for stronger cooperation on food and energy security, as well as disaster resilience across the region. The summit will also tackle how ASEAN will respond to U.S. tariffs, the conflict in Myanmar, climate change, and the use of artificial intelligence.
I will also highlight the Philippines' commitment to the development of a common regional framework for ethical and responsible AI, or artificial intelligence, aligned with ASEAN values.
While the President is abroad, Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, Justice Secretary Boying Remulla, and Agrarian Reform Secretary Conrado Estrella are serving as the country's caretakers. President Marcos will remain in Kuala Lumpur for the ASEAN Summit until Tuesday, May 27.
Okay, so balikan naman natin yung issue pa rin sa West Philippine Sea because yung atin ito coalition is going there right now. Let's talk about it with atin ito co-convener Ed De La Torre. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Magandang umaga sa inyo. Maraming salamat sa pagtawag sa amin.
Opo.
Medyo umuulan ngayon dito sa El Nido, pero
nandiyan na po kayo.
Dumating na yung Captain Felix Oca with the other volunteers, some of the other artists who could not sail from Manila kasi 24 hours yun eh.
Right.
They decided to fly in to El Nido or Puerto Princesa motorway. Ngayon, today we will start loading the other participants to the Captain Felix Oca, and at 5 to 7 this evening, we will have the 2-hour concert at sea for peace and solidarity. Hopefully, the weather will permit, and I don't think the Chinese are about to harass us. This is territorial water of the Philippines, not sea, but still, we want to make sure that our artists are safe. Alam mo naman, mga artists yan, they don't want to go into trouble. And to their credit, with all the possible risk, we can't control everything. They decided, sige, taya kami riyan because issue natin yun. At saka in our own way, kahit awit, in a peaceful way, we just want to communicate that we are in solidarity with the Filipino people, especially our fisher folk na nahaharap. So, maraming salamat sa kanila. It's a new thing for us. No? Activist community kami, mas bihasa mag-rally o mag-manifesto at kung ano-ano pa. Ibang klase ito, konsyerto.
Oo nga eh.
Itong concert ba, sir, will it be broadcast via live streaming or kaya shown at a later date to at least the public audiences?
Both. Technology and weather permitting, it will be live streamed via Facebook lang. Wala naman kaming bigger capacity. Although we were able to get Starlink link. So, mas madali-dali. Pero ano na, may weather, may interference pag wireless eh. But hopefully, and it's pa-dramatic sunset, we hope. Some donated even fireworks. May fireworks pa.
Wow, aabangan natin.
Pero saan mismo yung concert po? May audience ba kayo near an island or somewhere at sea?
Off the coast of El Nido, malapit lang. We are using different boats to board the performers and other audiences on Captain Oka. We'll do that for mga 2 hours and chika-chika, ganon. And then early morning tomorrow, the boat, the others will unload back to shore, will sail for Pag-asa Island. And again, at a distance from Pag-asa Island, they'll have a second concert on the morning of the 28th. Mga siguro 11 in the morning. Hindi na originally kasi pa-dramatic ring sunset, pero sabi na nakaka-nervous yan. Pag gabi baka may mangyari doon. So, ano na lang.
Safety first.
Tonight, sunset concert. Then on the third day, on the 28th, it will be a late morning concert. But similar performers, and the volunteers and the artists and their crew are all excited and eager to go. It will be interesting. You never know how things happen.
Sir, let's give context to what we are talking about. This is the third time ang atin ito coalition will set sail to West Philippine Sea. Para po sa inyong misyon. Para po sa ating mga manonood, ano po ba talaga yung hangarin ng atin ito West Philippine Sea? And why at this third time ay concert naman po ang naisip po ninyong gawin?
Well, nagsimula ang atin ito, simple lang. Sabi namin, okay, issue ito, government to government ang usapin dyan. Wala ba tayong magagawa bilang citizens, no? And of course, we come from a civil society, kind of activist background. But we said, can we reach out to people who are not usually involved in matters like this? So we said, in 2023, we thought a very simple thing. Our frontliners, the fisherfolk, the Coast Guard, and all that, let's have a gift-giving. Kultura yan ng Pinoy eh. Pag Pasko, sino pa galit mag-Christmas gift-giving? But then someone said, hindi, isama na natin yung BRP Sierra Madre. That gave it an edge. So talagang hinarang kami ron. So we said, lipat na lang tayo. We don't want confrontation. We tried to send to another group of soldiers on Lawak Island. Hinarang pa rin kami. But we used a smaller boat. Hindi makasunod yung Chinese ship because shallow yung so nakapunta. So sabi namin, okay, we lost some, won some, but more important, we proposed the issue. Sabi namin, can we civilianize the conflict? Because China is trying to militarize it. Secondly, we cannot leave it to government to do what it is responsible for doing. Let's do something as citizens. So that's one. The next year, they said, okay, what about naman ng mga fisher folk sa Masinloc? And then a lot of campus and students also invite us to their campuses to explain about it. Even the Catholic Bishops' Conference asked us to explain to them. So we thought, oh, this is good. So now this year, they said, let's do something different kasi ang tingin doon sa baka masyadong confrontational.
Yeah.
O sige, let's do something parang reaching out, including to China. Peace naman tayo. Sabi nila, wag naman tayong wag tayong magbarilan at bakbakan. Away pa rin because we're not going to yield our rights which is recognized by the United Nations. So, it's hard. I've been always asking, ano magagawa niyan? Kanta lang naman yan. That's the whole issue. Culture is soft, but it can be soft power, and more important, it's something that a lot of people can relate to, including, we even sent, I don't know whether they take it seriously or think there's malice there. We sent a formal invitation to the Chinese embassy and said, you want to send a performer, we're willing to so that we can have a people-to-people type of settlement of...
Did they respond?
Of course, they will not. They think we're just very clever. Ang hirap na. In fact, we were told by the government when we coordinated with them, sabi nila, Ed, alam namin kayo talaga, civilian society. Kayo, dati critical pa sa government. It is a civil society initiative. But we have to tell you, the Chinese government has no experience of independent citizens initiative na hindi pakulo ng gobyerno.
Right.
Kaya they will suspect that you are also a government initiative. That's why we will not be with you. We will stay at a discreet distance, especially the Coast Guard, because it's our duty to protect you in case there's a danger. So there will be 2 Coast Guard vessels at a reasonable distance, standing guard in case we need their help. Ganun lang.
Okay. And then there will be gift-giving pa rin po aside from the concert.
Yes.
Ilan po yung magiging beneficiary natin po dito sa gift-giving natin?
2 set immediately dito sa El Nido area, fisher folk, including their leaders from different fisher folks association here in Palawan, are coming this afternoon, and tonight they'll be part of the concert, but we'll be receiving the various, because we have received a lot of very generous donations from different people, including business. And then in Pag-asa Island, kokonti lang ang fisher folk doon, wala pang 20 to 30. Ganun rin. But beyond that, like we fundraise among the campuses, but even some Rotary Club did it, because what they need, in addition to asserting our rights, is to improve their catch, and one way is to have what they call payaws, yung fish aggregation device in the exclusive economic zone. It costs between 150 to 200,000. The fisher folk construct them themselves. It increases their harvest, even though limited, wala na silang access to the richer fishing grounds, Masinloc and all that. So we try to do both awareness, but also direct assistance, especially to the fishing communities. What they tell us is they appreciate. Dati kasi problema na namin ito, wala namang pumapansin sa amin. Mabuti, through you, napapansin kami. Kasi sa totoo lang, I have the reality in the Philippines, pag hindi nagsalita ang middle class or professionals, hindi man naglanting sa media, the grassroots are wala sa isip natin. Kaya sabi na paminsan-minsan, parang sabi na, parang nakakalabit nyo ang damdamin at utak ng mga kapwa Pilipino na, hoy, nandito kami, hindi mahalaga yung bigas at kategory ng ulam, kailangan nyo ng protein. At ang isda na isang pinanggagalingan ng protein, yan ang pinaka-affordable in addition to chicken.
Sir, hindi lang po local artists ang magpe-perform sa inyo pong Peace Solidarity concert. Who else are going to be performing?
Nakakatuwa nga at nakakabigla eh. When we reach out, siyempre iba-iba. We ask the Philippine Educational Theatres Association, PETA, si professional cultural group yan. They reach out through our contacts. The first one who responded, of all places, is a Japanese singer. Nagkataon, he's based in Japan, but there was a time pala, naging participant sa Pinoy Big Brother. So, kilala ko me. I talked to him yesterday, kasama niyo barkada niya, okay siya. And then, grabe, an all-girl Korean pop group. Tapos, ang all-Filipino naman, based in Korea. So, yun ang dalawang, pero dito sa kabila naman, may Indonesian singer, may Malaysian singer, and then of course, mas karamihan siyempre mga Filipino artist, no? In addition to Noel Cabangon, nandito si Abby Dancel, we will have an all-women's rock group. Excited ako, first time ko silang na-meet, Rouge. At one of their singers, sabi niya, hindi naman ako singer lang, environmental ako. Galit ako, nasisira yung ating mga corals dyan sa West Philippines. So, they're not just performing, they understand, no? And of course, they worry a bit, no? Because baka, sabi namin, no, your safety will be the primary concern. We're not going to,
of course, yun po yung pinaka-concern, sir, yung how can we ensure yung security, of course, of this whole mission, di ba? Yung mga volunteers po natin na pupunta doon, yung mga invited guests natin, invited performers, etc.
Well, at least 2 times din. So at least medyo natuto na kami paano kahit anong gandang plano mo, may ibang nagpaplano and maliban sa weather. So may contingency, may 3 kaming senaryo. Ang una, everything smooth. Ang pangalawa, may konting harassment pero hindi masyado. May pangatlo, talagang sobra. Pag ganun, iwas naman tayo. Ano ba tayo? Hello. Mahaba itong labanang ito. We don't want unnecessary. Kasi nga, karanasan namin nung kami aktivista. Alam mo, sa rally, pag nagkaroon ng violence, yung violence na nagiging news, nakalimutan ang issue.
Right.
So we want to keep this peaceful so that the message comes across clearly. We assert our rights, we want to assert it peacefully, we reach out to fellow claimants, and mag-solidarity tayo. And even, if anyone is there in China who says, hey, we're neighbors, can't we live together in relative peace and all that? Sabi, reach out tayo, people to people, usapan. Let's veganize it, no? So that's the message, and we want to avoid unnecessary violence that might distract from this issue, no?
Baka sir, you'd like to invite our viewers also would like to watch the concert on your live stream. So ano yung Facebook page nyo and what time do they expect it to go live?
5 o'clock to 7 p.m. for tonight. And tomorrow, the day after, on the 28th, somewhere between 10 to 12, depending on the sailing time. Kasi 28 hours pala from El Nido to Pag-asa. Layo. So, but yes, I think there is an Atin Ito Facebook page, but we'll text you and send you whether they have kind of coordinated with other Facebook pages, no?
Okay.
For the live stream. But definitely, we have enough technology. Mayroon kaming, anong tawag nun? Yung kay Musk,
Starlink ba yan?
Yeah, may Starlink kami. May Starlink.
Oo. All right. We are one with you in prayer for a peaceful and safe peace concert rally there sa West Philippine Sea.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Maraming salamat talaga. At saka including for fair weather. Although the weather is now getting fairer. This morning, nervous kami. Umuulan.
All right. Maraming salamat po. Atin ito co-convener Ed De La Torre for joining us here on News and Views.
Maraming salamat.
In other news, at least 3 million students struggling with basic literacy and numeracy will receive free tutorial sessions starting this school year, Department of Education announced. The initiative falls under the Academic Recovery and Accessible Learning or ARAL program, which covers reading and math for grades 1 to 10 and science for grades 3 to 10. Tutorial sessions will be held outside regular school hours, 1 hour on weekdays or 2 on weekends. DepEd also plans to hire additional tutors, including licensed applicants, pre-service educators, and private school teachers. Parents of selected students will be briefed on the program, which will also be extended to private school learners under the government's voucher system.
Hoy, problema yan eh. Sana naman kukunin nila for the extended hours because definitely yung mga teachers that we have as of the moment ay loaded na talaga sila ng mga trabaho eh.
Medyo off hours lang naman to.
Yes.
So siguro this is just like additional racket for those who want to be part of the program. Hindi pa naman natin malinaw kung
of course. Pero kasi yun nga, kahit extra racket yan, mahirap na rin for other teachers. Well, they said naman they'll be hiring more tutors for this program. Eh, doon talaga tayo dapat mag-concentrate yung reading and comprehension talaga ng ating mga students. Anyway, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The LTFRB reminds PUV drivers and operators that passengers, regardless of size, should not be charged extra. Here's a report.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, is warning public utility vehicle drivers and operators against imposing double fares on passengers based on their physical size or weight. In a statement, LTFRB Chairperson Teofilo Guadis III emphasized that a fare covers one person regardless of body size or appearance. He stressed that charging extra based on a passenger's weight is not only illegal but also discriminatory and inherently unjust. The agency warned that violators could face fines, suspension, or even revocation of their franchises. This comes after the LTFRB received multiple complaints, alleging that plus-size passengers are being charged beyond the standard fare. Guadis urged commuters to report any form of overcharging or discrimination through the LTFRB hotline 1342 via their official social media accounts or by emailing. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
Let's discuss this issue further with LTFRB spokesperson Attorney Ariel Inton.
Good morning.
Magandang umaga po sa inyo, magandang umaga po sa ating mga taga-subaybay.
Bigyan po natin ng konteksto, no? Bakit po ba bawal? Ano po ba yung batas na nagbabawal po doon sa sinasabing pag-charge, no, ng extra doon sa plus size po na commuters?
Una, ang memorandum circular po natin ay bawal yung overcharge. Ang pasahe po ng pasahero ay individual. Wala pong nakalagay doon na kapag extra large ka, no? O in other words, wala pong circumstance na madadagdagan ng pasahero mo kapag ganitong weight mo, ganito itsura mo, or what. It is very general na ang pasahe mo is for one person, one passenger. Ngayon, pagka ang pasahero naman, no, kahit ano itsura niya, ano weight niya, ay isang PWD, citizen, o kaya naman estudyante, natural lamang po na entitled siya dun sa discount. So, ano man ang kanyang pangangatawan, kung senior citizen siya, entitled siya sa 20%. Ganun din ang estudyante, ganun din yung PWD.
Has there, attorney, been a rise ba in the instances na yung mga overweight or na double charge? Kasi biglang napag-uusapan siya bigla itong issue.
Meron pong mga sumbong na nakarating sa atin, pero isa sa talagang masasabi natin na worse is as reported by a reporter. No? Itong reporter na to, isinulat niya ito sa kanyang pahayagan na nasakay siya sa isang jeep at ang biyahe ay dito sa Northern Quezon City sa Project 8 na sumakay, nakasabay niya ang isang lalaking PWD na mataba. No? Nung nagbabayad siya, ibinabayad niya ay para sa PWD fare. Tinanggihan niya ng driver at medyo napagsabihan siya. So dahil napahiya siya, bumaba na lang. Sayang nga po, hindi niya nakunan. But of course, we understand that in that situation na ikaw ay napahiya, masama ang loob mo, hindi mo na maiisip na kunan yun. But this reporter witnessed this. So ano po ang mga violation niya? Una, refusal to convey kung talagang tinanggihan ng driver na isakay ang PWD. Na mataba. Pangalawa, overcharging dahil sinisingil mo, no, ng higit sa isang tao. At pangatlo, may diskriminasyon kang ginawa. At yun ang isa sa pinaka-mabigat doon. Meron pong mga batas na if you discriminate really and nagkutsa ka ng isang PWD, merong criminal case yan. Ngayon, noon yan lumabas sa kanyang pahayagan, may mga media outlet na nakapag-interview nga ng ilang mga pasahero na gano'n nga nangyayari. Meron mga hindi pinaparahan. No? Kahit na ride-hail, no? Pinaparang niya, ayaw siyang parahan dahil sa kanyang pangangatawan. Yung pong meron pong nagsasabi na nangangatwiran, kasi naman yun sasakyan namin, pangwaluhan, pansyaman. Pag sumakay yan, nababawasan po. Hindi po ganon. Remember, yung pong seating capacity na ipinatutupad dyan is the maximum seating capacity.
Yes.
No? Hindi yan yun, dapat yan ang isakay mo, ha? Hindi po. That's the maximum seating capacity. If you go over that, that is overloading. No? Now, balik rin natin ng paano kung puro estudyante na elementary sumakay doon. Diba? Maliliit. So, they may not be able to consume the
mga espasyo doon.
Space na So, can he overload that? Yan. As I said, passenger is personal. No? Pag sinabi na ang seating capacity mo ay ito, passenger mo ito, then that's only up to that point. Kasi ang kailangan po dito ay yung convenience ng pasahero. Kaya hindi naman laging ang sasakay sa iyo PWD. o kaya senior, o kaya malaki. Hindi naman laging ganyan ang pasahe. And of course, naka-ano po yan eh. Yan po yung talagang, it goes dun sa pagsilbi mo because public transport is public service also. Nandun na po yun. Nandun na po, kaakibat po yun na susundin natin. Dapat yung batas na ipinatutupad, especially sa mga discount. And you should not discriminate passengers unless ang kanyang pagsakay will cause danger
Sa iba pa.
to other passengers. Then, it is a public transport na dapat isakay mo yan.
Attorney, itong binanggit mong sa, yung I heard of this story yung sumakay sa Jeeptas na pahiya bumaba, no? And I heard na iniinganyo nyo daw ng, I think yung agency nyo na lumabas siya and to file appropriate cases. Has he gone out and actually filed cases already?
Well, hindi po. But let me discuss about filing cases sa LTFRB, no? Kasi po, isa po sa isang ang dapat na ihayag po ng ahensya na ang LTFRB po ay aside from the regulatory powers of the LTFRB ay may quasi-judicial powers. At yung quasi-judicial powers na yan, bago po mag-impose ng penalty, ang kinakailangan may due process. Doon po pumapasok yung complaint. No? Kapag wala pong complainant, then di malalaman ng ahensya. Ngayon, kapag may complaint, then at may detalye, then papatawag po natin yung operator at yung driver na concern. Ngayon, kung sakaling na-post sa social media, pwede ba naming tingnan yun? Opo. Through our motu proprio powers na pwede namin tingnan yun. But how many are there in social media? No? Hindi naman po lahat. Kaya nga importante yung complaint. Ngayon, dyan po ngayon na may mga nagsasabi, maaabala kami, magko-complain pa kami, attend pa kami ng hearing.
Matagal pa.
Yeah.
So, pagka nag-complain po kayo, and we will set that for a hearing. At may kung kinakailangan pumunta kayo, then hindi po kayo maaabala kasi hindi naman po laging katulad sa husgado na talagang matagal ang hearing. Hindi po. No? Yan, madaling hearing lang po yan.
Okay.
Ayun, kung sakaling hindi kayo personal makakapunta, then malaman lang po namin. We can do it virtually.
Right.
No? Ang kailangan po ay, kasi you have to understand that LTFRB is a quasi-judicial body. There should be notice and hearing. No? Yun po ang kailangan.
Okay.
Ngayon, isa pang na andyan bakit hindi hulihin na lang nyo? Well, ganito po yan. Wala po kaming kanong enforcement na kinakailangan hulihin mo. As I said, it's a quasi-judicial body.
Pero yun nga po, no, we just want to know, how do we ensure yung compliance po ng ating mga operators and jeepney drivers for that matter? Kasi yun nga po, no, may mga sinasabi din po sa hanay nila na nalulugi sila, although na-explain nyo naman po talaga kanina yung tungkol doon sa maximum capacity na passenger dapat ng isang jeep. But we all know naman po that there are instances na talagang sinisiksik nila yan eh, diba? So how do we make sure po, how do we ensure yung compliance po nila?
Okay. Diyan po papasok yung role po ng operator. Kinakailangan yung operator maging stricto po sa kanilang driver. Dahil as far as LTFRB is concerned, ang tinatamaan po sa kanyang franchise violation ay yun, kanilang prangkisa. Yung driver naman, maaari namin i-recommenda for disciplinary action sa LTO at doon naman ang tatamaan yung kanyang lisensyang pagdadrive. This is of course without prejudice kung may mga criminal cases na gusto niyang isampa. Ngayon, doon po yung kinakailangan nga po yung kooperasyon ng publiko dito. Yun nga pong sa operator at yung riding public. Yung riding public and most especially yung driver mismo. Kinakailangan hindi lang po yung marunong tayong magmaneho. Alam natin kung ano yung minamaneho natin. Alam natin kung ano yung responsibilidad natin as a driver of a public utility vehicle.
Alright, Attorney, very quick na lang po para dun sa mga kapatid natin, just in case maka-encounter sila ng ganitong klaseng insidente, meron po bang hotline ng LTFRB na pwede lang tawagan right away na may sasagot po sa kanila para ma-entertain po yung kanilang complaint?
1342 po, nakalagay po yan sa lahat po ng public utility vehicle, required na ilagay nila yung number sa hotline.
Alright.
Yun po ay pwede niyong tawagan.
Okay.
Or kung meron kayong ways sa social media, you can do that.
Okay.
Or pwede niyo pong itag ang LTFRB. We have a page. May page po ang LTFRB. Pwede niyo po doon i-course para po nakarating po kaagad sa LTFRB.
Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, LTFRB spokesperson Attorney Ariel Hinton. Good morning.
A co-accused of Harry Roque in a human trafficking case has been arrested. According to the PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, a certain Marlon was arrested in Pampanga. Marlon was the operations officer of the security agency operating when alleged trafficking happened in Lucky South 99 Pogo Hub. The CIDG is urging Roque and his other co-accused to surrender, as tracker teams have been deployed to pursue them.
Now, Attorney Salvador Panelo is confident that Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial won't prosper. Panelo said the impeachment case will get dismissed over legal issues or the VP will be acquitted in the event of a trial. Panelo noted that under the Constitution, only one impeachment complaint is allowed to be filed against an official in 1 year. Aside from this, he also raised a question of whether the House of Representatives is a continuing body, unlike the Senate.
Now let's talk to former Presidential Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo. Good morning, Attorney. Thank you for joining us again.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning to the both of you.
Okay, Attorney, yun lang po. Paki-explain na lang po yung context po nung sinasabi po ninyo regarding po the impeachment case against Vice President Sara on the event po na dun po sa legal issues po pala muna.
Kasi, di ba, may nakabinbin sa Korte Suprema. Kini-question nila, bakit yung pang-apat na complaint ang trinasmit? Kasi dapat yung una. Kasi pang-apat, you violate the constitutional requirement that you can only file one impeachment complaint within a year. Apart from that, may problema pa sila dun sa House of Representatives kasi hindi naman continuing body yun. Paano magkakaroon ng jurisdiction pa sila? Tapos na sila eh. Kaya yung dalawang constitutional issues na yun, pag yun na-resolve, again, the respondents, hindi tuloy ang impeachment. At pag natuloy naman ang impeachment, wala namang kaibibidensya. Pinolitical lang nila si Inday Sara. Yung confidential funds na yun, cannot even imagine how you can sue her ang ground mo, confidential funds, when the notice of disallowance has not even become final. So, kung gagawing ebidensya, kaya mulat sa poll, sinasabi ko na talagang ang goal nyo lang, tanggalin si Inday Sara sa 2028 bilang kandidato sa Panguluhan. Kasi pag na-convict ninyo, perpetual disqualification. Di matatanggal siya. Kaya nila nilusad niya. Ang problema nila ngayon, nagsalita ang taong bayan. Unang-una, nung kinontra ng Iglesia ni Cristo at maraming sumama sa kanila sa pagkontra nila sa impeachment. 3 milyon ang inabot all over the Philippines. Pangalawa, pinakita ng taong bayan sa pamamagitan ng balota. Mabuti nga, balota ang pinadaan nila sa pagkontra, sa pagtanggi, pagtutol, pagprotesta. Yung galit nila, pinadaan nila. Bumagsak lahat. Yung mga tarang kumontra sa mga Duterte, yung mga umapi, yung mga lumabag sa kanilang karapatan. Kaya may problema sila doon. Kaya ever since, sinasabi ko na, regardless of the outcome of the elections, yung mga senador na yan, maliban siguro sa isa, dalawa, fanatic kontra sa mga Duterte, titingnan nila ang pulso ng bayan. At ang pulso ng bayan ngayon ay kontra sa impeachment. Iyan ang isa sa mga dahilan kung bakit bumagsak ang lahat na lumantad na kontra sa mga Duterte. Maliban pa na mas malaking bahagi yung ginawa nilang pag-arestong illegal at pagsuko nila sa katawan ng Presidente Duterte sa Hague. Talagang pinakita ng taong bayan, ayaw nila yung ginagawa ng gobyernong ito. Kaya kahit na sino ang manalo, sabi ko, titingnan ng mga senador kung ano ang pulso ng bayan. Pag ang pulso ng bayan ayaw sa impeachment at ang nakikita naman natin na mismong resulta ng eleksyon ay pinakita na ayaw nila, yung mga yan, siguradong hindi ko kontra yan kay Inday Sara. Boto yan pabor sa pag-dismiss at pag-absuelto sa kanya. Sapagkat they will not risk their political future plan 2028. Bakit boboto sila ng kontra? May problema sila. Nakita nila bumagsak na nga yung mga kumontre at this last election.
Attorney, may nagsasabi kasi na may disconnect daw sa messaging sa kilos ng mga congressmen with regards to impeachment complaint and how it was filed in the first place with the messaging coming from Malacanang. Do you really believe magkakaiba sila ng pananaw, or do you think this is just a case of well, ayoko, sila nagsasabi na the other side playing it safe para sumalo na lang ng backlash ang Congress?
Katotohanan yan, wala naman nangyayari sa Kongreso na hindi alam ng Presidente. Yan naman klarong-klaro. Ang hindi lang nasunod yung tsoryang yan, sa panahon ni Presidente Duterte, hindi talaga siya nakialam. Pero ito, talagang alam natin na alam ni Presidente Marcos Jr. yan. Kasi si Martin, Speaker Martin, hindi nakikilos yan kung hindi alam at hindi papayag ang Presidente.
So hindi po kayo naniniwala dun sa sinasabi ni PBBM na hindi siya nakikialam sa impeachment, gano'n?
Hindi. Yan ang para ilayo niya ang kanyang sarili. Pareho din yun yung sinabi niya, walang jurisdiction. Pero pumayag siyang papasukin, nagkaroon ng jurisdiction. Pumayag siya na may nag-iimbestiga. Kaya nangyayari tuloy, alat kayo pala.
Pero attorney, going back po dun sa issue ng confidential fund, don't you think po ba kung nakapag-explain si Vice President Sara Duterte dun sa usapin ng confidential fund before, proactively, no, nakapag-explain po siya sa taong bayan regarding that, ay hahantong pa po ba tayo dito sa usapin ng impeachment?
Abay, hindi ba nagpaliwanag na siya? Katakot-takot ng paliwanag ng buong Office of the Vice President na yung notice of disallowance na kinukulit ninyo ay hindi pa nga final. So hindi mo dapat yan ilatag laban sa akin. Pinaliwanag na yan Pero ang gusto nilang talaga, siraan siya ng sirado. Kaya nayamot na nga siya. Sabi niya, pinuntak pala rito para lang niyo ko siraan. Ayoko na.
Opo. Doon din po sa sinabi niyo po kanina regarding sa mga senators na titingnan nila ang pulso ng bayan. So, ibig sabihin po nito, yung ating mga senador ay hindi po nila i-check based on the evidence pagdating po sa impeachment, kundi yung kanilang mga pansariling interest?
Number one, walang ebidensya. So, what is evidence? What is there? Any way by which they will decide on the basis of it? Wala nang ebidensya Gawa-gawa lang yung ebidensya.
Meron daw po silang mga papel doon na may mga pangalan po ng mga chichirya, ganun.
Naliwanag na nga yun. Ano ang paliwanag ko doon? Ang paliwanag doon is confidential funds. Confidential funds are reserved against the enemies of the state. Saan mo kukunin ang impormasyon para matalo mo mga kalaban, mga terorista, mga kriminal, mga komunista, mga rebelde? Siyempre, manggagaling yun sa kanila rin. Paano mo kukunin? Babayaran mo yung magta-trader sa kanila. So pag yun ay pinapirma mo na tumanggap sila ng pera, di kawawa naman, papatayin nyo, pati pamilya nila. Kaya talagang hindi dapat na ipakita rin kung sino mga tumanggap ng pera. Kaya nga sabi ng ombudsman kaya nga confidential funds, ano ba kayo? Di ba?
Kasi meron daw po provision doon sa ating batas na dapat parang, anong tawag daw po doon, yung parang may logbook na stating, nandoon po talaga lahat yung mga sources. Pero apparently, wala daw po ganun sa opisina ni Vice President Sara Duterte.
Hindi nga po pwede yun. Kasi pag ginawa mo yun, kahit na sinasabi lang, sealed, sealed envelope, di binuksan lang yun kung sino nandun, dinahuli na, kita na. Kalokohan yun. Kaya talagang walang mangyayari niya sa impeachment na yan. At you cannot blame also yung mga senador if they will judge on the basis of their political future.
Yeah.
Natural yun. Kasi tingnan mo Hindi ba yung nakaraan, Sereno? Ano bang ebidensya? Hindi lang Sereno, yung Corona.
Corona.
Hindi, na walang ebidensya doon. Pero ano nangyari? Bumoto ba sila on the basis of evidence? Hindi. Bumoto sila on the basis of consideration. Anong consideration? Yung pabor sa kanila, di ba? Nakita na natin.
Attorney, maiba lang ako ng konti regarding yung back and forth educational debate nyo ni Attorney Harry Roque. Ang sabi po niya, ba't daw makikinig sa'yo about matters of asylum, hindi nyo daw forte yun. International law, wala daw kayo alam doon. Ano po masasabi nyo sa comment ng new best friend nyo, Attorney?
Ang alam po ninyo, asylum, isa lang naman ang reason kung ka mag-asylum. Pinipersecute ka rito nang walang kadailanan. Ang tanong sa kanya, di ba, ba't ka pinipersecute? Kasi critical ako sa gobyerno. Maraming critical sa gobyerno, antitindi. Mas matitindi pa sa kanya. Bakit hindi dinidemanda? Di ba? O ngayon, siguro, baka may ginawa ka na para sa kanila, may probable cause. Gaya ng ginawa mo sa congressional hearing. Meron ka mga contradiction doon. Sasabihin mo, hindi ka may-ari ng bahay o lupa. Pero sa mga salita mo, lumalabas, ikaw ang may-ari. Sinasabi mo, hindi ka abogado ng ganito. Pero yung dokumento, sabi ng Kongreso, lumalabas, ikaw ang abogado rito. Madalit sabi, siya lang ang lumika ng sarili niyang problema. Kaya sinasabi ko sa kanya, abogado ka naman, alam mo, na ang burden of proof, hindi naman sa iyo ikaw constitutionally presumed innocent. Hayaan mo ang gobyerno na ipakita nila na may ebidensya laban sa iyo kasi probable cause lang naman yan. Ikaw, you are constitutionally presumed innocent. So, my suggestion, if I were you, bumalik ka na rito kasi rightly or wrongly, tama man o mali, ang perception ng taong bayan, pag ikaw magtago doon at maghahanap ka ng asylum doon para hindi ka makarating dito, may tinatago ka, natatakot kang umuwi. Lalong-lalo na, the reason why you left is ayaw mo magpa-aresto dahil meron kang citation ng Kongreso. Uhulihin ka. O ngayon, nadagdagan pa, may demanda pa sa'yo.
May arrest warrant na, oo.
Bumalik ka rito at harapin mo ng lalaki sa lalaki.
Attorney, mabilis lang pa. Saan ba nagsimula away niyo ni Attorney Roque? Dati po kayo magkaibigan.
Correct you there. I've been very critical of him even during the cabinet years. Kasi mahilig siyang pumasok sa isang bagay na hindi niya alam. For publicity, I'll give you an example. Tanda mo yung West Philippine Sea? Pahayag doon na hindi pa siya miyembro ng kabinete. Kung magsalita siya, akala mo nandun siya nung nagmi-meeting kami sa China. Kaya pinuna ko siya doon. Sabi ko, wala kang alam dyan, wag mong sabihin yan. In fact, yung Secretary of Foreign Affairs during our time, si Teddy Boy Locsin, he was publicly rebuked kasi pinakikialaman niya yung foreign affairs. Mahilig siya dyan Kaya pinupuna ko siya. Marami siyang mga pagkakataon. Like, one time sinabi niya, matagal na, siguro 2 years ago ba, siya daw nandiyan na ang warrant of arrest. Sabi ko, ayan na naman. Tinatakot mo na naman ang mga DDS about the warrant of arrest. Wala pa naman. 2 years ago pa yun. Marami siyang mga ganyan. Parang gusto niya palagi siyang nasa balita. Kasi nga, gusto niya nung maging senador. Kaya pinupulaan ko siya. Pero hindi personal yun kasi ang aking history naman, kahit kaibigan kita o kaaway kita sa politika, basta mali ka. Pag tama ka, kasama mo ko. Pag Alala, di ba? Ilang cabinet members sa mga kaibigan ko dyan na pinulaan ko. Tolentino, si Maynard Guevara, pero nung tama ang galaw ni Maynard Guevara, pinuri ko naman siya hanggang langit. Si Edward Anyo, love ko lang. Pero nung sinabi ng DILG Secretary, nakasama siya, binanatan ko din siya. Yan si Amy Marcos, di ba ganun din ang ginawa ko? Wala akong kinikilingan pag mali. Pag mali. Pag tama.
Alright, marami pa akong gusto itanong sa inyo, Attorney, pero unfortunately, we don't have much time. Hopefully, we can still invite you again. And you can visit us here in our studio. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, former Presidential Legal Counsel, Attorney Salvador Panelo.
Salamat din po.
Meanwhile, a world-class seminar led by Olympic medalist Feng Kunju, athletes from across the country in a rare opportunity to learn from the best. Mobile Journal, Kyla Makantan with the details.
A two-part technical seminar on setting combining theory and practice was held last Friday, May 23, at Gameville Ballpark in Mandaluyong City. This was opened by the President of the Asian Volleyball Confederation and the Philippine National Volleyball Federation. In collaboration, two-time Olympic medalist and chairperson of the AVC, Feng Kun, a former setter and captain of the Chinese women's national volleyball team, led the seminar.
Having her here is also once in a lifetime lang mangyari kasi baka hindi na maulit. She's also here for an AVC board meeting under the new president, Ramon Suzara.
Current head coach of the Philippine women's volleyball team, Jorge Edson Souza de Brito, was also present. He continues to play a major role in strengthening the foundation of the volleyball in the country. The seminar was attended by setters from club teams in the Premium Volleyball League, as well as from UAAP and NCAA schools. The goal was to promote excellence through the introduction of new skills and methodologies.
Mostly, we focus on the setting or mga players who are playing the setting position para lang to give them more knowledgeable about the sport and about the skill. So hopefully, this will encourage more athletes to be involved in volleyball and to seek higher goals. Magandang knowledge to sa mga athletes natin sa Philippines.
Global journalist Kayla Macantan, we are One News.
And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.